more and more as I've gotten older, I've come to realize that most people don't really care about what everybody else has to say. So I don't know about you, but I'm very, very, very conscious about what I talk about, how many questions I ask, how I portray myself in conversation, because I have had my friends come up to me and be like, dude, like, you just completely got your head up your own ass. And I don't want to be that guy anymore. So I spend a lot of time thinking about and analyzing the way that I interact with other people. And I decided to come up with rules for the way I speak. Not exactly to mitigate who the person I was before, but well, that's part of it, but also just to make speaking with me a more enjoyable thing for other people. And those rules are: 1, I only talk about things, actually I guess there's only one rule. I only talk about things that people either ask me about or are pertinent to the subject. I'm not gonna just come up to a person and then just start talking about something that has not really anything to do with them. Now, pertinent to the subject is a pretty wide range of things. That can be something that you talked to this person about before and just giving them an update, or if you talked about, I don't know, if you talked about girls before and then there's a new girl in your life, you can talk about that. I can talk about that. That's my rule. And with these rules, I've come to realize that, like, dudes they don't ask me like anything. More and more, like, my dad, he knows me pretty well, and he said, Nico, you're a pretty private person. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. But my friends, it seems like they don't even know me now, because I won't just share stuff just to share it, and they won't ask me stuff just to ask. They won't ask me stuff just to know what their friend is doing. A few weeks ago, I went to Spain with my dad, and it was a great trip. I can't even lie. Spain is goated. I think I probably made them lucky. That's why they won the World Cup. So, hey, if you need me to make your country win the World Cup, hit me up, fly your boy out, all that. Spain was great. And I have a lot of stories from Spain and a lot of interesting things that I would like to share with people that would care to listen. And my dad asked me, after I took a photo, he said, are you gonna send that to any of your friends? I said, no. If they care, they'll ask, and then I'll show them. If they don't care, then they won't ask. And then why would I show it to somebody who doesn't care? And then I came home, and guess what? I still have not shown those photos to anyone. My friends knew that I went to Spain. I think one person asked me, how was your Spain trip? One. I did show the photos. I showed him the photos. He thought they were great. And because he actually had the care to ask me about how my Spain trip was, I was excited to show it to him because he was excited to learn. But that experience made me realize that, like, I don't know if this is just my friends or if this is people now or this is how people have always been, but like, these people that I talk to, they, for the most part, they just want to talk about themselves. And that's fine, I understand. Everybody likes to talk about themselves. I like to talk about myself. That's what I'm doing right here, right now. But part of the reason I made this YouTube channel is to talk about things that have no real place in conversation with my friends. Stuff like this. If I say this to my friends, I'm just a whiny little bitch. But it really does hurt me a little bit that it seems like the friends that I have don't really care about what I do. And I go out of my way, I do. Part of my rules, because I don't talk about myself that much unless somebody asks or it's relevant, that leaves with a lot of the conversations I have with me asking questions, which is great. I love asking questions. I love learning about my friends and seeing what they're doing, seeing what interests them, seeing what advancements they're making in their life, how they're being a better person every day. I love that stuff. But it seems like every conversation, now that I've made these rules where I don't just talk about myself for no reason, it seems like every single conversation has just become an interview. And there's no real friendship that strives off of a one-sided interview. And it's not just friendship. Obviously, my parents asked me how the Spain trip was. My mom asked me how the Spain trip was. I've got no issue within the family of that. But even when I meet new people, and like, you're supposed to be asking a lot of questions to get to know this person, to get to know this new person you know literally nothing about, your whole goal is to ask questions so that you can have more to talk about in the future. Genuinely, they will just talk about themselves. They're just about, oh, I'm going to this college and I'm doing this and this and this and this and this. And part of this could be because I'm asking a lot more questions. So it just seems like everybody's talking about themselves more. But after I've asked my question and they've gone through their answer and there's nothing else left to say and they let out that little sigh, the little, or the, well, and then that's how you know that that little segment is done. It will just be silence until I ask another question. And it's made me realize that something has to change. Either I have to change my speech rules. Maybe my speech rules are arbitrary and they're just making me look at my friends in a more negative way than how they really are. And it's giving me some sort of unrealistic expectation of what friendship's supposed to be like. But I don't think that's the case, to be honest. I think that a true friend will ask about what you've been doing. They will ask and they will care about who you are and who you're turning into. And I really would like to think that I am one of those people. I am one of those friends that cares about what you're doing and cares about what you will be doing in the future, that cares about the difference between who you were last week and who you are now and who you will be next week. I want to be that person that asks those questions and makes it feel like somebody is seeing who you are becoming and somebody's there to congratulate you when you cross your own finish lines. But it feels like nobody else around me is reciprocating. And I've come to the conclusion that, yeah, I'm pretty young. Maybe this is just a young person thing. And I really hope it is. I really hope that as I get older, as I move into college, the people I meet care about who I'm becoming. They want to see the differences and the advancements that I've been making. They want to know what made me who I am. They want to know what I ate for breakfast yesterday. All right, they don't have to ask that, but they want to know all these small, seemingly inconsequential things. And right now it just sounds like, oh, I just really want to talk about myself. And to be honest, I do. Because when I talk about my friends, all we talk about is them and what they do. So with all that being said, give me some advice. Are my speech rules unnecessary and just creating more friction between me and the people that care about me or the people that I care about? Or am I right? Do people not really care anymore? Do I need to surround myself with new, different people? I am going to college, so it's kind of inevitable. Is this issue of me feeling like people don't care, is that an issue of who I surround myself with? Is that an issue of my own mind? How can this be fixed? Because there is no way that this is what friendships have always been like, where one person is asking all the questions and the other person is answering them. Now, maybe it's also on me. Maybe I just need to ask less questions, let there be more silence, but I like silence in a conversation. I have no issue with silence in a conversation. I think it's necessary for every good conversation. But that silence has always ended with me asking again, me getting more out of the other person. And while it feels like, listen, I kind of like being the therapist friend, I'm not gonna lie, where I try to ask people questions to get them to come to conclusions about stuff they may not have already. So every time I have a conversation with someone, it feels like all right, this is gonna sound a little homoerotic, but I'm digging deep into them. Like I'm getting just real deep, all up in there, elbow deep, knee deep, all that. And they're scratching the surface on me. Or they're not even scratching the surface, they're just like watching as I dig into them, and there is zero reciprocation. All right, with all that said, let me know. Am I the problem? Is this age the problem? Is it those darn phones? Is it the era that I've been born into? Well, whatever the case, hopefully something changes in the near future. Hopefully I can change something about it in the near future. Well, with all that being said, like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell.